Hi, guys. Welcome to the Power Network. I'm Amy. So, today we're going to be talking about Nancy Guthrie, and we've got an update. And let's just say the story keeps getting weirder because right now we're being told a very specific narrative. Apparently, American old ladies are just being kidnapped. So, watch your old ladies. I don't know. The timing is interesting, and the framing is just a little too tidy for me. As always, on this channel, we're not here to tell you what to think. We're here to think out loud, compare notes, and look at the information together. Do your research, question the narrative, especially when it's wrapped all neat and tidy like this. So I'm rolling the intro while the algorithm brings in the rest of the power crew. Shout out to my replay crew. Love you, babies.
Carefully strumming this old guitar again. Words rolling out into our fire. If heaven had wings, I would steal them and fly away with you for a while. Hearing the essence of gratitude, your dreamy little smile on my lips. I miss my cue, but baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day. Here in the
Here in the blue and in the essence of gratitude, it's so good to be back here with my power crew again. How is everyone doing? I hope you're doing well. I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I had a lot of things happen to me all at once. My back hurt again, and then I almost cut off my finger. And yeah, so I've just been busy healing over here. And today I decided I wanted to talk about the Nancy Guthrie case and do an update and look around. I am very sus of this case and the fact that it's happening right at the time where basically the world is falling apart. We've got the Trumpstein files out there, we've got World War III, and we've got a missing old lady, Nancy Guthrie. So I just think it's really, really strange. And we've talked about this before, how I think it's strange. We did a live. When did we do a live? Let me look really quick and see when I did a live. Uh, I haven't done a live in a while, so it's taking a while for you guys to file in. So I'm just trying to when did we do it? We did Savannah Guthrie. Yes, here it is. Savannah Guthrie. Was it an engineered story? I'm just not so sure that it's not an engineered story to keep our minds busy. Here is the live that we did. We did it 3 weeks ago. Savannah Guthrie, coincidence or coordination? Interestingly enough, I was editing this entire live. It was a hour and 52 minutes, and I lost all of it. Not one edit was saved in the Canva. Uh, and then I was like, eh. But so we're going to do this live and do another update. And then I'm going to edit those two together and get them out there for you. So if we could just start that algorithm dance party that I like to do and just start warming up your fingers and dancing them right up to the hearts and thumbs up button. Today we're coming to you on, let's see, we're on, well, I'm in Facebook jail, so we won't be doing Facebook the rest of March. I can't go live on Facebook until April something, April 7th or something like that. But so today we're coming to you on, because I use the real words. You know how you get annoyed with us using schmurder and grape and pizza and, you know, just those stupid fake words that we have to use. Well, I use the real words and I got myself into some hot water. So lesson learned. I can rhyme. I can use the rhymes and still get my point across. So, but I am in Facebook jail, but it was worth it. I still think it was worth it. But we're coming to you, for all that to say, we're coming to you on YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. So hi everybody. If you could just show us love on that platform that you're viewing us on, it just helps us. This is one of the biggest things you can do for us. It just helps take us out into the algorithm, dance out there, party out, and bring more people back. It's just a free way to help us out, and it's really, really appreciated. So thank you, Kim. Hi, Kim. It's so good to see you. Thank you for sending me all those links. We're going to take a look at them, and we're going to take a look at some of my links that I found, just kind of directing it towards, I think this is a whole psyop operation. We watched in this other live that we did. Let me get myself out of the way. This other live that we did, we took a look at Chase Hughes. He's one of my, let me get it right there. He's one of my more favorite content creators right now, mainly because he had a brain disease that he was, well, not mainly because, but one of the big reasons is because he had a brain disease and he healed himself from that disease. And I'm just really impressed with and he worked with the CIA, and he basically knows what our government is doing to us and the mental mind gymnastics that it's been playing with us all these years. So let's have a listen to this. Being focused on so heavily right in the middle of like our world, our country's biggest turmoil. Why?
Different stories are receiving, and note any disproportionate focus. The second part here is authority. Trusted figures might shift their tone or positions unnaturally to support the narrative. So
this, we've got this fire chief, this police officer saying one thing, and then when the story is shifting, then he shifts his narrative to change what he said. He walks it back and says, no, I didn't say they were cleared. I just said something about they're just not suspects, right? So
watch very closely for expert panelists or endorsements where authority figures.
Hey, you guys, I forgot my phone in the other room. I'm going to run out and get that. I'll be right back.
Might speak outside of their expertise. Pay close attention to that one. Then we have tribe. So messages that polarize opinions or create stark in groups versus out groups, or exploit our tribal instincts. For example, labeling groups as patriots versus traitors or scientific versus deniers. Be very careful when you hear that language. Finally, we have emotion. So be wary of any communication that triggers strong emotions like fear, hope, or outrage without any clear, verifiable evidence. So emotional responses suppress critical thinking. Emotional responses suppress critical thinking. So as a tip,
they want us to stay in a state of emotions so that we don't go into our critical thinkings. They want us keep us like Chicken Little, running around. Oh no, the sky is running, falling down. And instead of getting into like, okay, so what do we do about it? They don't want us to get to the organization part of it. What are we gonna effing do about this part? They want to keep us in our feelings and our emotions.
Here, analyze the evidence that's presented to you. If facts are replaced by appeals to emotion, you need to be very, very cautious. As an example of this, think about like a news channel repeatedly showing images of empty grocery shelves and panicked shoppers during a food supply scare. It dominates every broadcast and it pushes people into fear-driven behavior. Next, question novelty. Our brains are wired to focus on sudden or unusual changes because they signal potential threats or opportunities. And this is an evolutionary survival mechanism. Psyops exploit this by creating events that break normal expectations, like unexpected crises or dramatic revelations. So,
like a kidnapping of an 80-some-year-old woman, unexpected, yeah.
ask yourself, why is this new? So consider if the event or somebody's message
Is this new? We at the very beginning, this is very rare. It's very rare to have an adult woman of this age kidnapped. This is new and this is very rare.
has been artificially manufactured or timed. Look for patterns like sudden shifts in public opinion.
Time. The timing is perfect. He's saying look for the time. The timing of the Epstein files and the ICE unalivings and them closing off our borders. So as you can see, I feel like the timing for all of this is just absolutely perfect. I'm not saying that this woman hasn't been kidnapped. I'm not. But I am saying that I believe all of this is to keep our minds busy, to keep us overwhelmed, to, have us throw up our hands. What's the use, right? There's so much going on in the world. What's the use? We need governmental protection. We need to go into those 50-minute cities where you'll have to pay to leave the city, right? Or heaven forbid, a lot of people are saying that the government, there's going to be some kind of like attack from something or Iran's attacking us now, and we need to go into martial law. I just really think that there's just too much coming at us right now for us not to question this Nancy Guthrie thing. But what I want to do is to go in and look at the updates, and then we can go in and look at more Psyop stuff towards the end. So thank you, Kim, for sending me these updates. I did see that you said apparently there's an article out there by MSN that Savannah is livid over Banfield naming and doubling down on the son-in-law suspect stuff. Wow. And I haven't gone live in like a couple weeks, so it doesn't look like YouTube is pushing out my live. So if you're in here hanging out with me, if you could do me a favor and share this live, that would help me tremendously. I am going to start going live every day again. I just needed a time to just heal my body. It was just really going through a flare in my back, and like the Epstein files. I'm going to tell, they knocked me for a loop. I always knew what we were doing to the kids because one of my first jobs, my BA is in psych sociology. And so I was a foster care social worker. And so I knew the horrors that we were inflicting upon the kids, but I didn't know on the scale, right? I knew that parents here and there did it, and they were like, it was horrific. And yeah, but and the fact that it's being done and there's been no arrest, like little to no arrest, is just I just needed time. My soul needed time to balance and get its feet underneath it, and to figure out that my voice, I have to use my voice, and that's all I can do, and that's what I'm doing. And so this Nancy Guthrie is weird, wild stuff. And yeah, but I'm back, and if you could share it, it would be really great. So here we're gonna start out with Ash, because I don't know the updates. I just had to remove myself from all true crime. I just totally went into the woo. I've been getting up every morning and just praying, meditating, and then I go out. Well, I'm not going to tell you my morning ritual because don't want anybody following me or anything, but I go out in nature and I do stuff, right? And so I've just been really having to reconnect, center, balance myself. I've been really studying the Gospels and the teaching of Jesus again. And yeah, it's just, I had to, right? I had to. And I feel stronger now, and I'm ready to cover it. But I have to tell you that my coverage is definitely going to be changing because I see everything under the guise of the Epstein files. Like everything is good and evil. That's basically what it's all boiled down to all this time. We've been tricked, and I'm pissed. I go between being pissed, shocked, and kind of like excited, like the whole world's falling apart, but I'm finally putting myself back together. So I think it's pretty ironic as the world's going to shit. I'm getting my shit back together. So I don't know. Anyway, I've always done things backwards. So, but we're going to take a look at this. If you could share it out, that helps me out tremendously. And here we go.
I feel this is Drop Dead Serious. Thank you so much for being here. It's really nice to have you. Don't forget to hit subscribe, the little thing right there. It would be huge to me. Thank you if you already have. And thank you if you're a member. Welcome to the Vermont Outpost. It is snowing like mad up here. I almost feel like a shut-in. It's a bit weird. I've got the fire going, and I've got lots to update you on. It's day 41 in the Nancy Guthrie investigation. It's March 13th as I record this. And I know I took a few days off reporting Nancy Guthrie updates because, quite frankly, things were slowing down in terms of what we could learn, with the sheriff basically not telling us anything and giving no updates and certainly no news conferences for, 4 weeks. There was very little to report other than sort of insignificant things, the comings and goings, cars here, cars there, but nothing that would warrant, a full episode. But then all of a sudden this week, there's been a bunch of stuff, weird, interesting, and then one big kahuna of a thing. So I wanted to get you up to speed on everything that's happened in the last few days. But then I want to tell you very significantly 2 things that I've put together with regard to what the sheriff said early in the investigation, like day 2, and what the sheriff said this week, because they are 100% different, which tells me either he doesn't know what he said before, or he's lying. I don't know. I am gobsmacked and frankly pissed at this sheriff for being so cavalier with the language that he's using this week and saying, yeah, I've believed that since day 1. Oh, well, guess what? We went back to day 1 and we pulled your effing beliefs. And that was not at all what you said. You said the opposite. So I'm going to get to all of that in just a moment. I'm also going to show you some of the activity.
I think it is pretty ironic that kind of like they pulled what in Idaho 4, and they're like, no, you're all safe. You're fine. And now all of a sudden it's like, guard your old ladies. And before it was like, guard your students. It's just like, what?
Around the home today, weird things, weird. And then also 2 days ago, weird things, weird vehicles, one very expensive one, like the kind that Donald Trump drives at Mar-a-Lago. Once he lent it to me. I know that's weird, but I was at Mar-a-Lago for ABC News doing an interview, and he said, just jump into the Maybach and they'll drive you to the airport. Okay. Anyway, it's an aside. Then some strange things that are happening with the FBI involving that restaurant that Savannah Guthrie filmed a segment with her mother for the Today Show. You've seen lots of clips of it. Savannah sitting at a table with her mom. It's the kind of thing that all of us would do. Working in television, we would do these segments with our families. And now maybe we'll think twice about it, because who the fuck knew that this could happen, and who knows if it's related. But the FBI went to that restaurant, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. And also some camera material has surfaced from Nancy Guthrie's home. I know I didn't think that was going to happen, right? I figured that they'd done all they could to scratch the video. Do you remember scratching is the process that Google was using from their backend servers to try to get through the layers of the onion to see whatever they could from February 1st when Nancy disappeared? Well, the scratching or the whatever else tech they were using to get images has produced more images. But, and there's always a but, it's weird. Like, it's just weird how they're saying that's actually pretty informative, the number of things that they could see going on around her home. Just don't get excited about it. I'll explain why in just a hot minute. And then also I want to tell you about, if you haven't already seen it, I want to make sure you do see it, a segment that's resurfaced. Actually, big props to Megan Kelly and her program and her producers for having unearthed a segment from, I think, 2013, where Savannah Guthrie did a live shot from the Today Show set in New York to her mom in her mom's bedroom. And it was this cute segment that the Today Show would do about how to make your bed, how to make the perfect bed. And the person who was showing them how to make the perfect bed was Nancy Guthrie in her bedroom. And why it's so significant is because the sheriff and investigators in the FBI have been very tight-lipped about Nancy Guthrie's bedroom. And clearly she was abducted after 1:47 in the morning, likely, which is kind of the middle of the night for many. And although the sheriff said early on she was abducted from her bed in the middle of the night, he then retracted that the next day, said, didn't think you would take me literally. I'm pulling that back. And, you know, we all as reporters pulled it back. But then Savannah Guthrie did a video herself. And in the video, she said, quite literally, my mother was taken from her bed in the darkness of night. So
don't take us literally at what we say, but don't misreport us. Just read our minds and everything will be fine.
we are left to assume that.
In other words, don't question us. Just go with whatever narrative, whatever story we give you, and just effing shut up and be happy.
That is where the abduction happened, is at the bedroom. And that's why this particular video that the Today Show did in 2013 is so significant, because now we may actually be seeing the scene of the crime, or where the crime may have actually begun. So let me just get down to business on what we have, collected over the last couple of days. Significant reporting, actually. ABC News says that it's got sources that have told them that investigators have been able to pull additional imagery off of Nancy's cameras. Here's why I'm so interested in this, apart from the obvious. Because up until now, we've never really known how many cameras were outside of Nancy's home. We knew for sure the camera was at the front, right? The doorbell cam, the Nest cam, which I believe I brought you on day 3, that it was a Nest cam. So we know that, and of course, captured the images of the suspect. But we didn't know what else she had. We knew that the investigators had not taken the outdoor camera that was up on the casita, like the pool house. And then several days later, we could see them up there dismantling it and taking it. It's like, that was a couple days late. Anyway, so we knew that one existed. We did not know for sure if there was a garage camera. We did not know if there was a back doorbell camera. But now ABC has actually recovered some of this really interesting information. Okay, so I can tell you that there were cameras that pointed to the swimming pool. I'm assuming that's the one that they missed and got later. I don't know, maybe not. There were cameras pointing towards the backyard. That could also be the camera, right, that they got later up on the casita. Or maybe it was the back of the house pointing towards the pool. Don't know. There was a camera pointing to the side yard. Okay, well, side yard is a tricky one, because there's a backyard and a pool, and it's all in the back of the house. Then there's the casita, and then there's kind of the driveway into the garage, which might be considered a side yard, because it's certainly the side of the house. I don't know what the reference to side yard is. Nothing says specifically that there's a garage cam, but I still wonder how they know exactly when the cameras went, when the garage door went up and down the night that Nancy Guthrie was dropped off. Does the garage door itself record that? Maybe, probably. Was there a camera pointing that way that recorded that? Maybe, don't know. But I am interested to hear that the recovered images that ABC source says that they got were from cameras pointed at the swimming pool, the backyard, and the side yard. So those are 3 cameras that we know images were recovered from. We do not know if there were additional cameras that maybe they got nothing from. Okay, so I'm still curious about additional outdoor cameras, what kind of security Nancy may have had. So it's a bit of a bummer, though. I'm not going to lie. When I first saw the news, I thought, oh, dear God, thank you. Finally, more leads to go on with this monster. Maybe they've captured him doing something else. Certainly, maybe they were able to find out if there's an accomplice or not. I'm still going with not. And that's just my theory, not at all what the police are saying.
So Ashley thinks it's only one person still?
I just see that person looks very, very much the same in the images that are now apparent, according to sources, on 2 different nights. So
Oh,
they
all right. Well, then that's why it's different, because if it was on 2 different nights, then that would okay.
could not recover actual surveillance video, according to ABC.
Because I thought the guy looked different, but if he's just wearing something different, because at one point I saw whatever he had holstered, and then on the second photo it wasn't there. That's what I noticed. So,
did get
and I'm not the most observant person, so
something called reduced size thumbnail images captured whenever the cameras were triggered by motion. So you get your little tiny thumbnail, and whatever they were able to, ascertain from these small images that just captured one image the minute the trigger went off.
I will say that I don't have my thing. I know there was a lot of talk about why wouldn't she have the service, and I've not had the service on my camera since I got it, and it will only record if I tell it to record. It will capture only screenshots of people that approach. So,
and you know how that can, like, the trigger can go off and it's like a little delayed, so it might not actually capture the thing that went through it. That's frustrating. But they did not, and this is important, those cameras did not capture anything investigators currently consider suspicious. Currently. Remember that. So what they did see, and this is super interesting, what they did see, several people in Nancy's backyard and in her side yard during an unspecified period of time that happened before the abduction, February 1st. So this is from a period before February 1st. People, backyard, side yard, and some of these images are also captured after Nancy's abduction. They said that law enforcement officers can actually be seen in some of these images. So, I'm confused a little bit, only because if law enforcement is there, maybe it's the day when they're just determining, what's happening, what they don't think happened, what they do think happened, when they start to realize, holy shit, let's get some homicide people in here. In any case, there are these just little reduced size thumbnail images, but law enforcement is seen. So that's definitely after Nancy went missing. And they said that those officers can be seen near the pool. So backyard, the camera either that points to the backyard, or the casita, the camera that points to the backyard. I can't tell you which one this is, but here's the really big gut punch. ABC says its source tells them the cameras captured, quote, nothing on the night that Nancy Guthrie was abducted. What a piss off. I'm going to still hold.
So they've noticed that the moon is different. I think I had heard that I think I had heard that it was on 2 different nights, now that I'm listening to all of this. But I think I haven't looked at the photos enough to say whether I think it's 2 different people.
Hold out hope, though, because I think that work maybe is ongoing, that they're still trying to scratch. Maybe they're still trying to get those layers of the onion of the video that, without the subscription, PSA, folks, please get a subscription if you have a security or a doorbell cam. It's not that much money, and my God.
Well, I mean, I don't have much faith in this law enforcement. I'm sorry. There is something to say about time and experience. And didn't we learn that this is a very new law enforcement? Like, something must have went down in the department, because they're all new, which kind of tells me that either the department was stinky in Denmark, or they had to clean out the department because the people that were there were stinky in Denmark. So, but either way, there was stink in Denmark.
I mean, the difference, between holding people accountable or even finding you if you're taken. So that's the ABC News reports of these new images that supposedly were captured. I also cannot tell you how new. This information could be new to ABC, but it may not be new information. This may be stuff that's already been around for a bit. Don't know, but I just like the idea that there are these images of people in the backyard and the side yard, because that helps, right? Because you're going to look at all contractors, you're going to check all people, and maybe there was somebody in the backyard doing something that they had not considered before. Based on the amount of crime that I cover, you gotta go through all the contractors. Too many crimes have been the contractors. Have been somebody in the contractors, somebody who's a transient worker. I mean, Elizabeth Smart, for fuck's sake, was taken by this scum.
So worried about people that are working outdoors, or I even worry about Uber drivers and Lyft that, like I worry about that kind of shit.
Bag who came in to do some handyman work. Yeah. So you got to look at those folks because they come in and they get a real close up look at you, your family, your shit, and everything. So maybe there's an image of somebody who's there in the backyard, side
Not
yard.
only that, but that's a way that people have gotten into homes. They pretend to be workers, and they either, they get in and they do it that day, or they get in and they scout out the home. So, I mean, yikes. And if it's a psyop, a governmental thing, like I think it is, like allegedly, just my opinion, for haha entertainment purposes only, then they would definitely, I don't know. But now I'm just thinking about the guy grabbing the foliage. That's a real Yahoo slick way to do something. So I don't know.
Who maybe they didn't know about before. I'm hopeful. Okay. Also, this is what Matt Finn from Fox News reports. I'm just going to quote Matt. He's been doing some great reporting, and I miss him that he's not doing it all the time now because, again, the details are dwindling. It's very sad. Day 41. Matt says this, quote, a law enforcement official close to the Guthrie case tells Fox News this afternoon that new photos have been recovered from all 3 cameras on Nancy Guthrie's property. It says all 3. I just don't know if it's all or if there's still others that, maybe we didn't know about or that maybe C might not know about. I'm not sure that it's all, if that's it. But as ABC reports, and he says that includes the front door camera, the driveway, and the backyard. So this is different wording. The driveway, to me, it's hard to tell if this is again, the front doorbell cam goes up to the driveway. It's a long way out, but you can see it. Or if it's the driveway out the garage. Don't know. Fox is told these images do show people in cars. Cars, that's good to know as well. Thank you. Cars, hopefully license plates as well. But currently, nothing is considered suspicious. Currently, as you're investigating, may become suspicious. You don't know. No arrests, etc. These images were captured in the days and weeks leading up to Nancy's disappearance on February 1st. But in capital letters, but federal investigators have so far been unable to recover new images from the critical hours on the actual night and early morning that Nancy went missing. Fox is told that the FBI does not have plans to release these new photos at this time. If there was a reason to share these images with the public, the FBI would, end quote. Obviously, they're just saying right now, we got pictures of people, but right now, we don't know if these people, that we got to put the APB out, right? We don't know that we need to crowdsource this. Okay, so here, though, is the thing that's right under my skin, in my craw. Obviously, every time Sheriff Chris Nanos gives an interview, which is, sporadic and selective, to say the least, I hang on every word because we don't get a lot of words. There's no press conferences. They have stopped giving out the regular, semi-regular briefs that they were giving out, media briefs. And whenever he speaks, every time there's just something else that doesn't make sense or is in direct contradiction to something else he has said. And woo, what a humdinger this one was. Okay. This one was a mofo of a humdinger. He said something this week that is in direct conflict with what he said in the first hours after Nancy disappeared. Get to that in a moment. First, quick note from my sponsor. If your teenager is glued to their phone 8 hours a day, barely sleeping.
A mofo of a humdinger.
Views, and then boom, he does with one person. Okay. And this is critical because he said something in this interview that stood out like a freaking sore thumb. He said effectively that he believes he knows why the suspect did this. If you're seeing me blink multiple times, it's because I'm gobsmacked. We believe we know why he did this, and we believe that it was targeted. I'm sorry, that would say motive. You know what the motive of this monster was. That would be big. That would be massive because the rest of us have been wondering in this mystery, how did he do it? Why did he do it? Nothing seems to point to the why. What's in the backpack? All sorts of possible theories, awful ones, and all of it's awful, but some more awful than others. But there's the sheriff now saying,
so they still don't know what was in the backpack, I take it.
Believe we know why he did this.
What's in the
And what
backpack?
stands out even more is the reporter says, so it gives you a sense of motive here and why the person did this. And the sheriff says, yeah, I think it's come out from day one. I think from day one, we had strong beliefs about what happened, and those beliefs haven't diminished. Do what now?
What?
Really? Okay.
I have to say that he didn't seem strong like that to me.
And the sheriff went on to say, don't think for a minute that because it happened to the Guthrie family, you're safe. No, keep your wits about you. Basically saying to us in the public, and certainly the people in the smaller Tucson area of that neighborhood and the greater Tucson area, that there's a risk out there, that there is a risk to the public. Don't think for a minute that because it happened to the Guthrie family, you're safe. No, keep your wits about you. He goes on to say it in a whole bunch of other ways as well.
Keep your old lady safe. That's what he's basically saying. Keep your old lady safe. Like, apparently that's the new thing. Babies and old ladies. It makes no sense. And by the way, I'm an old lady, so I can say it. We're not safe. Keep your old lady safe. Keep us safe. That makes no sense. Would she say that's a mofo of a humdinger right there?
Meaning, yeah, there's a danger to the community with this guy out there. Okay. Because on day 2, you told us the exact opposite, Sheriff Danos, and you didn't just say it once. You told us that there's no danger to the community. So what the actual is going on when you say that, yeah, I think it's come out from day 1. I think from day 1, we had strong beliefs about what happened. And there's a danger to the community. Because on day 2, you told us there was no danger to the community. So what did you know on day 1? Because it seems now on day 41, you do not have the same beliefs as day 1. Let me just play you the NBC interview, and then I'm going to play you what he actually said on day 2. Take a look.
Do you think that this suspect could strike again, whoever did this?
Well, absolutely. We believe we know why he did this, and we believe that it was targeted, but we're not 100% sure of that. And so it'd be silly to tell people, yeah, don't worry about it. You're not his target. Don't think for a minute that because it happened to the Guthrie family, you're safe. No, keep your wits about you.
There is something that's come out in the investigation that gives you a sense of motive here and why this person did this?
You know, I think it's come out from day 1. I think from day 1, we had some strong beliefs about what happened, and those beliefs haven't diminished.
Do you believe it was a burglary gone wrong?
I'm not going to get into those theories. We have our beliefs. Everybody else has theirs.
Is there still hope that this mixed DNA will be able to be identified?
Absolutely. That's going to get us to somebody, we hope. There was a timeline when things went offline. So we're looking into that. Why did that occur? We check with our power companies. We check with others in the neighborhood.
And that's beyond just the fact that the suspect took the camera off.
Correct.
All right, so that's the NBC interview.
No,
But he also gave...
I don't like this sheriff at all. He's a problem. He's a real problem. But I guess he's perfect. He's perfect for this alleged psyop that I, for entertainment purposes only, believe is happening.
Nice selected interview to one of the locals, KVOA. And I believe that's where Savannah Guthrie started her broadcasting career after deciding that she didn't want to practice law anymore, but wanted instead to go into broadcasting, and eventually ended up at Court TV, which was legal broadcasting. By the way, as a quick aside, Savannah and I once talked at Court TV about her background in law, and she actually worked on the Enron case. So if you're ever wondering just what kind of a lawyer Savannah Guthrie was when she was practicing, she was a hell of a good lawyer. She worked on one of the most prominent cases.
Do we know, were there any workers that came into Nancy's home prior to this? Did she have any kind of work done anywhere? I mean, did they put cameras? I don't know. Jeez. There was an internet outage the night that she was taken. Now that's weird. That's another just like coinky dink that just we're just supposed to, I guess, ignore, right? It's just look away. Look away. Oh, look, a war. Oh, look, Epstein babies being pizzaed. Look. No, look away. Look over here. ICE raids. Oh, no, over here. It's just, yeah. What next? well, I think I told you what I think is going to be next. I think there's going to be a 9/11-esque type of activity, and they're going to try to scare us like they did that time those two towers went boom.
Back in the day with Ken Lay and Enron. Remember that case? And then she moved on to be a legal journalist, and then obviously this titan of broadcasting on the Today Show. So KVOA, which is, again, I believe Savannah's first broadcasting job, the reporter asked this question: for those in the community worried about their safety because the suspect has not been arrested, what is your message to them? And this is what the sheriff answered back.
I mean, is the sheriff doing that because they do suspect the brother-in-law and they're trying to make the brother-in-law like get loosey-goosey comfortable? I mean, that could be. I know that the police are allowed to lie to solve their case, basically. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm always trying to look for some hope. So, could that be it?
Messages to everybody, putting this case aside. If I understand we live in a beautiful area,
or
nice.
Not necessarily the brother-in-law, but or if it's someone they know is watching, they want people to think that they have no clue who it is, and so they're saying guard your grandmas, like keep them close. I don't know.
Clean air, and people like to have their windows open at night. I would tell you, because I'm just a cop, don't do that. Lock your windows, lock your doors. If you've got a security system, I've learned from this. I have a security system too. Make sure you've got that recording that's not just recording itself over and over and over again. A subscription, maybe a cloud server. I don't know. But I'm saying take a look at your security system.
Well, okay then. So we should all be concerned because there's a monster, in our midst. Okay. That's not what you said on day one. On day one, I should say day two. On day two, which was Monday, after the Sunday that Nancy Guthrie disappeared, you gave a press conference and you assured us all that there's nothing to worry about. There's no boogeyman out there. There's nothing to be concerned about. No cause for alarm, no risk to the community. And again, you said you had a handle on things day one. Why did you say that? Why did you believe there was no risk to the community on day one? Because just this week, you have said quite literally, Sheriff Nanos, that I think it's come out from day one. I think from day one, we had strong beliefs about what happened. And you should be concerned about what's happening. There's a danger out there in the community. This is what you're saying this week. So don't take it from me. Don't let me paraphrase the good sheriff. Let me play you what Chris Nanos, the sheriff of Pima County, said in his first press conference on Monday, that day two of the Nancy Guthrie investigation. Here's what he said.
Well, no, I don't think there's an active threat, but I hate to say that because, we're going to canvass that neighborhood and maybe there's a prowler been seen around. There's a lot of work still to do. We don't have any indication that that the public is in danger.
So that's what Sheriff Nanos said.
I mean, that sounds like, yeah, but no, everything's fine.
On day two of this investigation, nothing to worry about. No concern out there for the public. No, nothing to worry about. But, on week 6, instead, he is saying absolutely there's a concern to the public out there. And we've known since day one.
Well, that's just really unsettling. But I have to say, it reminds me of the Kohberger case and what they did. Like, Brian Kohberger was literally out there loose. And he did what he did to all those kids in that one house. And you can't tell me he wasn't thinking about doing it again, right? Or hadn't done it. Well, I don't know. I didn't follow that case too closely, but I know that I believe he did prowling and stuff like that before. And so I don't know. It just reminds me of that. So, okay, let's keep going and let's move on. And Brian Enton is one of my favorite reporters. So let's see what he is saying.
Checking out my show. I really, really appreciate it. Please click.
Everything that we view, I will put down in the YouTube show notes. Today, we're coming to you on YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. So be sure to give us love on the platform you're viewing us.
To subscribe. Appreciate all of your support. It is day 38 in the search for Nancy Guthrie. I'm in Nancy's neighborhood right now. It's pretty quiet. I haven't seen any like FBI or Pima County Sheriff's detectives out here the last couple of days. I'm continuing to follow up on what I brought you guys yesterday, the neighbor who had two really interesting things to say. First of all, the suspicious person that she reported seeing back sometime
Hey, Cowboy RC, long time no see. Yeah, I hope she is too. Um, I don't get the sense that she's alive though, but I hope at least what happened to her and or her body is recovered.
around January 11th, and then also what happened to her sister, which is what's really got me just like kind of been thinking like nonstop about the FBI coming to her sister's house, and then she didn't really think they were FBI, and then the detectives told her that they were not FBI and did a whole investigation, but then later told them they were FBI. Very, very strange situation. We reached out to the FBI today, and they said no comment.
Okay, what happened? I have to take it back.
The detectives told her that they were not FBI and did a
Hold
whole
on.
investigation, but and the sister, which is what's really got me just like kind of been thinking like nonstop about the FBI coming to her sister's house, and then she didn't really think they were FBI, and then the detectives told her that they were not FBI and did a whole investigation, but then later told them they were FBI. Very, very strange situation. We reached out to the FBI today.
I don't like it. I don't like it. This is not the United States that I mean, obviously the United States was never what I thought it was, but it's shady. It's shady and it's so like this is why I had to take time off to come to terms with this because I don't know if a lot of older people are going through this, but it's just like this is not the United States. It's just shady.
And they said no comment because this is an ongoing investigation. But I wanted to talk to retired FBI agent and my friend Maureen O'Connell about these latest developments to see what she thinks, just because, again, I found them to be so, so bizarre. I'm joined now by Maureen O'Connell, retired FBI special agent. It's nice to see you, Maureen.
Always good to see you, Brian.
How are you today?
I'm good.
How do we know Maureen O'Connell? She's not connected to Hidden True Crime, is she?
How are you?
Good.
Are you
good.
feeling better?
I am feeling better. Yeah, I'm coming back. I'm coming back to life. I was just telling someone I've never had one of those IVs before where they come and they give you like when you need hydration, and I didn't want to do it, but it really helped. It was really good.
They say that everybody says that helps quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it did. A couple of things I want to ask you about, Maureen, with the neighbor who I interviewed. She had a couple of really interesting points. First, she told the story about her sister who lives down the street, also in the neighborhood, and that the FBI, who she thought was the FBI, showed up at her house, and then she was concerned that they weren't really the FBI. Come to find out later, she found out that they were the FBI. Let me play you this part, and then I want to see what you think about it.
They did go to my sister's house.
Did they?
Yeah.
And she said she lives right near here, too.
She lives right up the street. They went to my sister's house on the second Friday night after Nancy went missing at like 7:30 at night. It was raining with hoodies on, black hoodies, and we're tapping on her windows and frantically ringing her doorbell. What? And she answered it.
Why were they tapping on her windows? That would scare the shit out of me. No. I wouldn't answer it. I wouldn't answer it if people were tapping on my windows like that. Yeah, no.
I don't remember if they asked to come in or if she just offered for them to come in. It was raining and it was cold. And so they went in. I think the male did not take his hoodie off. The female did. They wanted to know if she had a pacemaker and they wanted to look into her garage. And so she was like, okay. I mean, she was alone and was like, sure, of course, you're the FBI. Apparently on her hoodie was just a little FBI emblem up here. Well, then they left and
So they were in her house.
They were in her house for like 20 minutes.
Why would they need to know if she had a pacemaker? And why would they want to look in the garage? And why did the police say it wasn't FBI, but then investigated and found out it was FBI? This tells me that there's another agency out there. Is this, I don't even want to, oh I've been watching a lot of alien stuff. UFO. Is this something UFO alien related? No, because the guy came up and literally took the camera. Okay, Amy, everything's not woo. It's not woo, but that's weird. It's really weird. Who are these people? Have you guys ever heard of these people, and have you looked into this? This is the first I'm hearing about this. Weird.
And talking to her, and she was asking questions, and they were kind of vague, and the guy didn't really speak, and he kind of creeped her out. So they left, and
I mean, he creeped her out. Well, I mean, okay, this would be creepy. People tapping on your windows, coming in, and okay, this is creepy. This makes me really uncomfortable.
And my niece called and said, "Are you sure they were the FBI?" Because we all had discussed about copycat crimes, people posing as police officers, things like that. So she called the 1-800-FBI number, and it was busy, or said they were busy. So she called 911, and within 15 minutes, 10 minutes, there were 7 police cars, 4 FBI agents, said it wasn't the FBI. She was terrified. They swabbed her, fingerprinted the entire house.
They swabbed her mouth.
They swabbed her mouth.
For DNA, wow.
Yeah. And then were there till the middle of the night, and then just left, and she was terrified. So the next day at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she got a call from the large group of FBI agents that were there and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, that woman was an FBI agent. We don't really know who the guy was, but she was, so you're fine." And she was like, "No, I'm not fine. I'd like to know exactly what's her name. Tell me more about it." They were in my home. And
so why would they have swabbed her and did fingerprints in the whole house?
Because I think in the beginning, the two entities weren't talking to each other properly. I think the FBI and the sheriff's department were not communicating.
So what do you make of this, Maureen? Because apparently the sheriff and some of the FBI were concerned enough that they did a 4-hour investigation, fingerprinted her whole house, took her DNA, were concerned that these were fake cops, but then called her the next day and said, "Oh no, we looked into it and it's actually legit."
Well, it was interesting to say the least, but initially when we go to the door, we always show our credentials, and it's not like your typical badge. It's not like your typical police identification card. You're not wearing uniforms. As you said in the clip, or she said, they had just a small insignia that said FBI on her hat or whatever. And that's just the merch that we have to buy most of that out of our own pockets to wear that. So my thought is this: they were assigned an area on a map or wherever, like, hey, this block, we're going to do this block. And maybe this particular house was scheduled for the following day or something. I don't know. And they just were trying to get everything. I don't know what happened. All I do know is when we go to the door, we're trained to show our identification. And the identification is a dual placard that opens up and it says FBI on top, and on the bottom, your photo and your name. But it is something that most people have never, ever seen before. So maybe she just didn't notice it, or was listening, or it was cold out, whatever. And then she invited them in. With their jackets on and with it being cold, you're not going to really see their badge. And we have notoriously small badges, which other law enforcement entities always make fun of us for. And we always admit that we do, in fact, have badge envy, especially when you're here in LA, looking at LAPD badges, the coolest badges around. But so they went in and did what they were supposed to do. Now, you have to write a report when you do stuff like that. Obviously, these guys were there for...
Sorry, guys. I am fighting a flare, so I'm on the sneezing. I sneeze a lot when I'm fighting flares. But I wanted to say, yeah, just ignore all that weirdness. I mean, maybe, like the two entities? Entities? That's a weird name to call these things. But okay, maybe the two entities weren't communicating, and maybe she didn't see the FBI placard or whatever. Yeah, just ignore that. Like, let's just make all the excuses we can for the weirdness. Let's just play that game, shall we? Like, just don't ignore the pattern of strangeness. Just believe what you're told, right? I don't believe it.
Several hours, and
there's something weird. That's weird that these people come to the house and she thinks they're FBI, but then the police say it's not FBI, and they want to know if she has a pacemaker, and they go look out in the garage and they take biological samples, but like, were they doing that for everybody? Did these same people come to every, like, I mean, we can sit here and just continue to act like we're going to play that game, but I'm not going to do it. It's weird. And there's something wrong. There's something wrong.
We in the Bureau, you've got 5 days to write your report. In a situation like this, they're going to say, hey, write your reports as soon as they're done. We need to get this, we need to keep everything up to speed so that we're tracking everything that's going on, because all these leads are being tracked. That it just didn't make it to the analysts and the professional support personnel that were annotating all the leads that were out and the leads that were being covered. So to fingerprint her whole house and all that, and I didn't really understand the bit about the I mean, maybe you can clarify the bit about the pacemaker. I don't understand what it was about.
Yeah, I don't either. I was wondering what you thought about that. They were asking if she had a pacemaker.
I don't know. Unless they had some kind of an RF analyzer that can tell you how strong that signal was, because they just wanted an answer quickly. But that's odd to me. I've never.
I mean, would they be able to go back and on the night of the that a pacemaker is so that if your heart beats wrong, it defibrillates it, right? Isn't that what a pacemaker does? So I was thinking more like they might have thought like on the night it happened, was there a recording? But I don't know. I can't figure out why they would want to know about the pacemaker.
I don't know what that means.
If anyone has any good ideas, let me know, because that's going to rattle around in my brain for a while.
We'll have to wait and see what that means.
Yeah, and I'm trying to talk to her a little more today to get some more info. But just the fact that they came, so she calls 911 so basically she calls her sister and I think another family member after these two FBI agents leave, and she's like, there was just something weird. There was just something weird about I don't know, especially the guy weirded her out. And it was her sister who said, you should just call the police if you think there's something weird. So she calls 911. And then they respond, and she said, with 7 deputies plus more FBI. And she said 4 hours in the house fingerprinting, and they said, we don't know who these people were who were in your house.
Oh, so it wasn't the FBI agents that were lifting prints.
No,
gotcha. All right, now that makes more sense.
This was in response to her saying,
that makes more
I think
sense.
these were fake cops. And then the FBI.
Oh, but he said that both the FBI and the police responded and came and did the fingerprints. So wouldn't the FBI know that they sent their own agents? So it would be entities not even communicating with entities in their own organization. That makes no sense at all. Oh, this world is it's crazy.
And the deputies responding and being like, yeah, we have no record of these people. They were fake cops, and we're gonna do this whole thing. They were there for 4 hours, fingerprinting everything, took her DNA, left that night, and she went to bed thinking, oh my God, there were fake cops in my house. Freaks out.
So they took her DNA because they were gonna they were looking for the DNA of the 2 people they thought were possible offenders. This happened, it's not uncommon.
Well, let me finish because I want to make sure you know. So then leave at night, and she goes to bed freaked out. I let fake cops in my house. This is right after Nancy Guthrie disappeared.
I'm not really happy with this woman because she's not listening to the entire story. She's not listening to the entire story. He's having to say, let me finish. But each edge of the story, she is trying to explain away because that's what she's been trained to do. I'm not thrilled with this.
This is all, they're in connection to the Nancy Guthrie case. 3 p.m. the next day, they call her and say, oh, just so you know, we did more checking, and they actually were.
Amber, good morning. So good to see you. Hi, everybody coming in. Good to see everybody. Hi, Dean Fabro. In your humble opinion, I don't place too much credibility in this woman's sister story. All this is third-party information. Oh. Well, I didn't realize it was third-party information, but I think it's very strange.
legit. The woman was definitely real FBI, so we can all move on. Okay, so sorry,
Right.
what were you
So
going to
she
say?
submitted the FBI female agent submitted her report. It flagged in the system that it was in fact an FBI agent, and probably could have been an ERT person with her or someone else that's not a sworn law enforcement officer. I don't know why he didn't take his hoodie off when he got in the house, because in a situation like this, we have to understand that people are freaked out a little bit.
She is put into the public to act like she's a sympathizer with us, but to explain these things away. I don't know why he didn't take off his hoodie, because he was really supposed to do that, but this is probably who he was. Don't like it.
And you have to do what
don't believe it. But we're here. You guys can believe it if you want to believe it, right? We're just here having a conversation, and this is all allegedly and in my own opinion.
Can to sort of calm the situation down. So that will be dealt with. I can guarantee you that. But that makes a lot more sense. So they did a buccal swab on her because they were going to compare and contrast her DNA with other DNA that they're pulling out of the house when they were trying to figure out who these fake offenders were, even though they were legitimate. Now, if you consider it, as I said, it's not uncommon for people to come upon anybody, and I mean, it's happened a number of times where fake law enforcement or fake even firefighters show up on scene. Like if you look at, if you recall back to the Palisades fire, there was that fake fireman going around who was trying to get into houses and, to rob them. So, and he came to one of my friend's house, and I had briefed them extensively on what to look for, what to be aware of, and they said they could tell that he wasn't a real firefighter because of a number of things that I had told them. So that's scary, but it was a good idea, and it was a very good move to call the police and say, this is what happened. I'm frightened. What should I do? If they spoke to someone in the command post, obviously even that night, it would have been the same result, because the female FBI probably didn't even have time to write her report, let alone submit it by that night, So it happened the next day. Not great, but in a very fluid situation like this, where when I tell you things are flying around. Information, personnel, new directives, pausing old directives. I mean, it's whenever you look at any after action report for any significant event, you always see comms, or communications, but we call them comms. You always see comms as one of the number one findings of where we have issues. And this is just another example.
Well, what a waste of time. I mean, again, this was still when things were very active. To have all those people go to her house, have to spend 4 hours, which is what she said, fingerprinting and doing all that investigating. There was no way for them to just figure out that it was real FBI sooner.
The only thing I can think of is that those two individuals, the FBI personnel, were assigned a block or an area, and they decided to deviate from that slightly, maybe right around the corner. Maybe they were assigned to the very next block and thought, we may as well just hit this house. We're right here, and just see what they know. And, I know.
Do you think it goes back to the miscommunication, or not the miscommunication, but the lack of communication between, remember in the beginning, there was some real beef between the FBI and the sheriff's office, and the sheriff?
I would say it goes more toward any big investigation. I mean, it sounds like, oh, this is outrageous and everything. But if you took 100 regular citizens and gave them all very clear directions, you would be blown away with how everyone goes in opposite directions and they're stepping over each other. So, if this is the only thing that went wrong at the beginning.
We're just updating on the Nancy Guthrie story. And I also think that this is a governmental psyop operation to keep our minds busy. I believe that Nancy has been kidnapped, but I feel like this is just a little too convenient of timing. And so we've learned that in the beginning, the police officer said, like, no, your grandmothers and the old ladies in the community, they're fine, like this is just a one-off. And now he's like basically saying, guard your grandmas because there's somebody out there getting them, right? And then we have one of the sisters saying that an FBI, a weird man and a woman come, and the woman says they're from the FBI, and they get the creeps from the man. She takes off her hoodie and apparently he doesn't. They ask if she has a pacemaker. They go out and check her garage. Then when they leave, they contact the police and the FBI and say, hey, this seemed really weird. And they said, no, we didn't send anybody out. So they rush people out and they fingerprint the whole house. And, and then later they say, oh, no, that was an FBI agent. But both the FBI and the police said, no, they hadn't sent anybody out. And now this FBI agent's on here just kind of talking it away, saying, oh, well, this is probably why this happened. And this guy should have taken his hoodie off, but he didn't. And he'll probably be reprimanded for that. But he was probably a field, it's what it is. I just, you guys can believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I believe that they're trying to get us scared. And because I don't know, I just believe that they're trying to scare us and overwhelm us. And I do believe that this all goes back to the Trumpstein files.
Something this large, I have no problem with it. Is it a waste of time? Yeah, maybe. Probably. Could they have been doing other things? Yes. But we have to go through the machinations of whatever needs to be done. And we need to do it quickly. And, it's not the greatest outcome. But I'm not surprised, because whenever you're involved in anything big like this, all kinds of stuff always happens. We've had massive plane crashes where someone in the press came out and said, I saw 10 passports of people that were killed in this plane crash, and their families don't even know about it yet because the FBI's come out and said no families have been notified yet. And so I was the one handling all the identification for these people. And I'll tell you what, man, about 4 or 5 big bosses were jumping down my throat. And I said, no one saw those passports. And they were like, yeah, but everyone's saying it and it's being reported all over. No one saw them. Let me show you what I did with them, what my system was, what my protocol is. So you always in these situations have a whole bunch of, like I said, you got stuff flying, good stuff, bad stuff, confusing stuff. You're lucky if you can keep it down. And if you can contain it, that's even better. Just get her done, keep moving forward.
Yeah. I wonder, for those couple of hours where they thought that these were maybe fake cops,
exactly.
They must have really thought that was crazy. I mean, because that could have connected back to the whole Nancy Guthrie. I mean, that must have been an interesting couple of hours there.
Yeah, that was a big pucker factor moment for the investigation, for sure. That's why they sent 7. And that's exactly, you got to hit a situation like that hard. So it's unfortunate that, the comms were bad. The whatever was set up wasn't set up solid enough. Maybe this is one of the first times these people have ever been on a great big fluid situation with other entities involved. And if that's the case, they learned a very valuable lesson. I think everyone's going to learn from this one. This will be part of the after action that they'll probably teach it at Quantico for a little bit.
That's a new Maureen phrase I haven't heard before yet. The pucker factor.
Oh, the pucker factor is real.
You haven't used that yet.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned
Ask Steve about the pucker factor. He'll tell you his stories too.
Okay. You mentioned you were telling your friends during the fires how to be careful of fake firefighters. What would you say to people who are watching this in terms of fake cops and stuff? What should people look out for?
Well, I'm not gonna go into everything because the bad guys are gonna learn from it. So what I would say is someone should either be obviously identifiable.
You're not gonna go into everything to help protect people, because then the bad guys might no. So let the people get hurt so that you can know what the bad guys are gonna do.
And or show their identification. So FBI agents don't have uniforms per se. We do wear our raid jackets, and we do have our credentials. So an FBI agent will be happy to show them to you if if your interaction would deem so. So for example, you can't just walk up to someone and say, "Oh, show me your ID. Are you an FBI?" No, we don't have to do that. I mean, I wouldn't. But if I'm at your door and you ask, and I'm asking for information and you want to see my credentials, absolutely. Can you take them out of their hand and Xerox them? No, you can't. And I had someone try to do that for me once.
Really?
I mean, yeah, I just held him up and this lunatic just tried to grab him out of my hands.
Well, ask her why they were tapping on her frickin' windows. I hope he asked her that.
I'll tell you, it was about on. I mean,
what was
like,
what was the situation?
It was just one of those people kind of like
really care. I really don't care. She's annoying me.
Gobsmacked if they did not show her the credentials, at least one of them. That's our protocol. That's what we do. It's not something that people see often. So it's something she might easily forget, especially if, as her sister said,
bull shenanigans. Oops, sorry. I call shenanigans on that. If your mother is kidnapped and somebody shows up to your door, you're asking for credentials. Oops, sorry. I yelled right into, sorry. See, I got to learn to be able to do this without getting so angry. It's the lies. It's the lies. Okay.
She's very nervous to begin with. She was frightened out of her mind. Who wouldn't be on a night like that? So, and she, you know, some people would expect to see a police uniform and maybe her raid jacket, which she didn't have on if it was cold. Did you say it was raining too?
It was raining, I think, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So she had to have rain gear on. So rain gear we don't have, you know, raid jacket style rain gear where it's got the big gold FBI letters on it.
She didn't have rain gear on. She had a sweatshirt.
So
you weren't listening. You weren't listening to even the story. I can't anymore. I can't with this one. Let's move on. I can't. We're putting her in the can. Let's move on. Okay, so Kim sent me something from News Nation. Nancy Guthrie search, expert suspect likely left saliva DNA. Truth of the matter. So let's take a look at that. Everything that we view, I will put over in the YouTube show notes. So we do this to cite our sources and for fair use. So if you want to continue on with anything or you just want to watch it straight through, that's where you can find what we're viewing today.
Hi there, I'm Natasha Zuves. This is the Truth of the Matter podcast.
Okay, I've not seen the Truth of the Matter podcast. I was thinking this was Olivia. What's her channel? I can't think of her name, but she's now dating one of the Idaho 4 victim's brother. I can't think of her name. Olivia something.
Nancy Guthrie, Savannah's beloved mother, has been reported missing in Arizona.
She hasn't been seen or heard from. Concern is growing, and all indications are that she was kidnapped.
For now, that security video seems to be the strongest piece of evidence in this case, though there is still hope in the DNA.
We need to know where she is. We need her to come home.
On January 31st, when the sun set in the Catalina foothills of Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, I know it's Kaylee's brother she's dating, but I think it's the Chronicles of Olivia or something like that.
Suspected that the quiet neighborhood would soon become the epicenter of a frantic international search for the mother of Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie, a search that has gripped the nation.
We'll see what it's like. I've got quite a bit to go through, but I've got a lot of time today. What I was going to do today fell through, so I got a lot of anxiety, and I thought, well, you know what? When I come and I hang out with you guys, it always helps me. So here I am. And I decided I wanted to do my hair and come on camera too. I'm going to start doing that more.
More than a month since Nancy Guthrie vanished without a trace in the early hours of February 1st. Investigators say she was abducted from her home, and so far no suspects nor clear leads have been identified. Right now, the FBI is looking into a possible internet blackout on the night she disappeared. One neighbor telling News Nation that his Ring camera history is suspiciously not available.
Okay, so that's very another interesting thing that happened. In this case, there was just, like a blackout that night and people's Ring cams weren't working. Weird. Just, weird. Guard your grandmas.
That night. Other neighbors confirming that the FBI has been asking about service disruptions. Questions now swirling. Did the person caught on chilling surveillance video have a signal jammer? One of those could have sparked the outage. Much about this case still not known. Here is what we do know. The blood found on Nancy Guthrie's doorstep was confirmed to be hers. We also know foreign DNA that does not match Nancy's, was found in the 84-year-old's home. Unfortunately, that DNA does not match any in the federal DNA database, and the sheriff says the DNA samples are mixed, which presents a unique challenge. Still, there is hope this case may be solved with the forensic tool of investigative genetic genealogy. The technique has recently made headlines for cracking open the vicious quadruple stabbing murder of the Idaho Four in November of 2022.
News Nation can confirm an arrest has reportedly been made in the quadruple stabbing death of 4 college students in Moscow, Idaho.
Investigators in that case were able to link DNA that was found on a knife sheath at the crime scene to a relative of Brian Kohberger. They then matched the crime scene DNA to a Q-tip found in Kohberger's parents' garbage can. And once he was arrested, got a direct sample from Kohberger himself, confirming the match.
We have an individual in custody who committed these horrible crimes.
Why did you do it?
Kohberger was sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole in July of 2025. Genetic genealogy also helping to solve a series of brutal crimes that stumped even the most seasoned of investigators in California for decades. The Visalia ransacker, the East Bay rapist, and the original Night Stalker terrorized Californians for years.
This is a bold psychopath. I think he's probably about as close to the boogeyman as you can get.
In 2001, DNA technology linked at least 50 rapes and 13 murders, science proving it had been the work of one very elusive and violent perpetrator. 12 years later, true crime writer Michelle McNamara coined the name Golden State Killer, unifying the Visalia ransacker, East Bay rapist, and original Night Stalker crimes. The move helped to rekindle the public's attention as investigators worked quietly in the wings, combining old-fashioned detective work with the use of genetic genealogy. Investigators put DNA from a semen sample collected in a 1980 Ventura County double murder into a genealogical website to identify potential family members of the killer. The investigation eventually leading detectives to a trash can where they found a tissue discarded by Joseph James D'Angelo. D'Angelo was arrested in April.
This was one of those cases that I didn't think we were ever going to solve, but I was really happy that we did.
April of 2018.
Did you watch that docu-series with Patton Oswalt and his wife? It was so sad that she passed away.
And sentenced to life in prison in 2020.
There was a purely evil presence in our home, a diabolical, depraved, mumbling, and weeping being in human form.
Genetic genealogist CeCe Moore has been at the forefront of this technology. She and her team helping to solve well over 300 cases and counting. And she joins us now. CeCe, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about getting to talk about these things more deeply with you because you always have great questions, but we're always rushed when it's live. So this is a great opportunity.
I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to diving deeper as well. And specifically, it's interesting. You've said that mixed samples are common, especially when a victim fights back. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, I didn't have any experience with law enforcement until almost 8 years ago now, when I joined forces with Parabon to help law enforcement solve a lot of these types of cases. So it was very eye-opening to me to learn about these forensic samples that they have to deal with and how challenging they can be. So it is not at all unusual to have a blood mixture at a crime scene. And that is relatively straightforward to work with. If it's the victim and an unknown male perpetrator, that
has the testing come back on this sample yet?
Is relatively straightforward. But I've also learned a lot about transfer DNA and how you can have complex mixtures, how easy it is for us to leave our DNA everywhere we go. And that means that as the technology has gotten more sensitive.
And how easy it is now for them to leave our DNA. So like if they wanted to frame you for something now that, what was it? That DNA company that just closed down and they sold all their DNA to people. So if you sent your DNA there, now like another company has that DNA, and if a family member did it, they could, well, I don't know if they can replicate from a family member's DNA, but you know, I don't really want anyone having my DNA, but I just really, with this day and age, I'm not really sure how you can even prevent it. And in that sense, how can you even trust it?
Ability to detect more DNA profiles has increased. And so in some ways it almost makes the work harder because you're not just pulling that primary DNA, you're also often pulling multiple people's DNA that may or may not have been there at the same time. We also see, of course, in sexual assaults, it's really common that you've got a mixture of bodily fluid. And unfortunately, I work a lot of sexual assault cases, so that's not at all unusual either. And so it's not something that is insurmountable. There are ways for our incredibly brilliant bioinformatics scientists to deconvolute those mixtures. That's what it's called when you are trying to separate out those DNA profiles. And so we've had a lot of success. A lot of our cases that we've been able to help law enforcement identify a perpetrator or Jane or John Doe, we have dealt with mixtures. And so, you know, when I first heard there was a mixture in the Guthrie case, that didn't automatically concern me, because in some cases that can be positive because it can give you a better idea that you're actually working with the DNA from the perpetrator versus somebody's DNA that was there for another reason. As time has gone on, I've realized, you know, this has to be a more complex mixture and much more difficult. Now, our scientists can work down to about 40%, meaning the person you're trying to identify needs to be at least 40% of that mixture. This is completely different from working with mixtures for CODIS profiles, right? So they have completely different standards, but for SNP profiles that we use for genetic genealogy, we typically need that person to be about 40%. So if you've got multiple people in that mixture, how do you even know which one is the person that needs to be identified to solve that case? So it's definitely challenging, but as I said, not necessarily insurmountable.
And I know that the latest timeline we're
Would
here.
you try to identify each whatever's in the sample? Like you would want to separate it and identify each one? I mean, but maybe I'm missing something. I think I'm missing something.
Is even potentially a year in order to separate this DNA and even begin to run that analysis.
Oh, wow.
Does that sound right to you? And what went through your mind when you heard that kind of timeline?
Well, the way I interpret that means that they don't right now currently have the ability to separate it, and they're hoping that the science is going to advance. So when I first started in genetic genealogy, a lot of people kind of rolled their eyes at us and laughed at us, and people didn't take us very seriously. It was just a genealogy thing, right? And we built this incredibly powerful tool for human identification under the radar. Now that it is helping to solve cases and identify violent criminals, there's a lot more attention to it. And so for the last 7.5 years, we've seen the science behind genetic genealogy, the foundation for genetic genealogy, creating that SNP profile successfully, grow leaps and bounds, because now there are scientists, both academic scientists and forensic scientists, very interested in creating these viable SNP profiles. And so when I hear that they think it might be a year, that says to me that whatever software or whatever, you know, their bioinformatics scientists have at this moment is not successful.
Okay, well, that would make sense. That's why they're not able to do it if it takes a full year. Okay, let's keep going and see what else we have. I know Jay went down there, so I wanted to take a look and see what she's been doing down there. I haven't been watching it. Oh, she must be home already. Okay, but let's go and see. Was she down there? I thought she was. Am I wrong about that? I thought she went. Maybe she was just following JLR still. Yeah, I think I was wrong that she didn't go. Okay, let's go over and start looking at more of looking at it towards why I think it's a psyop operation. We've kind of got like the updates under our belts, and so let's keep going and go towards there. So I wanted to look at Dr. I don't know if this is Sean or Seth, psychologist. I always read this Seth. Do you read it as Sean or Seth? I don't know. Was the entire Nancy Guthrie abduction story a lie? And this is from a psychological commentary. He did this a month ago.
Seth, psychologist. And I wanted to share a point in one follow-up video. I've done a couple other videos on this Nancy Guthrie missing case. But I just wanted to share another point that I think is really important as the public empathy and I think anxiety level of so many people familiar with this story as it grows and really escalates. One of the things that I think is really important to look at is to look at this from a psychological assessment perspective. And that's often how I look at things as a clinical psychologist. When you are trained in clinical psychology, you learn psychological testing and you learn really comprehensive assessment skills. And one of the things that you look at is thinking, the type of thinking one engages in. And one of the reasons why I think this Nancy Guthrie case has caused such an extreme emotional reaction in people is because of how confusing it is. And part of why that is related to the ransom notes. Now, the first ransom note that was received, it was received reportedly at the end of the second day after she had been reported missing. So she was first reported missing on a Sunday in the morning. And then later, the following day, and not just on the second day that she was reported missing, but at the end of the second day reported missing. For abductions, that is a significant delay in terms of communicating, sending that ransom note. Now, with this particular case, there seems to be so much confusion in the very beginning about what reports were confirmed and what reports were not. And so that just
I don't even think it's the very beginning. It's throughout this whole thing. There's confusion. And when the police officer, the lead officer, gaslights you and says, no, I didn't say that, but he's on camera saying it. I mean, it's like fighting over the color of grass and sky, right? It's just you can do it if you want, but like, why waste your energy with these kind of people? But also, like, there's a missing woman out there. So I think we have to question it. It's just weird.
To a lot of confusion. But the public's takeaway from a lot of the communications from the sheriff's department originally were that this is a woman who needs daily medication and that it was not clear that the medications were taken with her. It was not clear that she actually had these medications. Now, here's the part that's important psychologically. When we think about this from an assessment perspective psychologically, and we look at the thinking, if you take a person who engages in clear, cohesive thinking, clinically, what we would call that is rational thinking, goal-directed thinking, thinking that is linear and cohesive, okay? When we think about that individual going to abduct an individual who is 84 years old, clear, goal-directed thinking would say, if the motivation is for money, if there is a mercenary motivation and we want to keep this individual alive. Again, a person with goal-directed thinking would look around the environment and would imagine, because most individuals at 84 are taking some types of medications, would simply go to a medicine cabinet in the bathroom and just clear it out and throw things in a bag if there's limited time. They may take articles of clothing to keep that person comfortable. Again, clear, goal-directed thinking would want to send the message to those who would later discover that she's missing, that care was taken to help meet this individual's needs. Again, all in the purpose of keeping her alive, okay? Now, we don't know, of course, many details about this case. Law enforcement always has to keep critical details private for obvious reasons. But the public's reaction to this and what I think is the public's anxiety about this. Yes, on the one hand, there are people that are frustrated by the sort of wall-to-wall media coverage about this, noting that there are so many missing children, for example, who don't get half the media attention. Actually, scratch that, not half, not even a fraction of the media percentage. And that is a valid frustration. But there are a lot of other people that, because of the nature of this case, an 84-year-old woman, this is triggering a lot of anxiety for elderly individuals, especially elderly individuals.
Yeah, I think it is triggering a lot of anxiety. And I think a lot of older people watch Savannah Guthrie. And so it does make it a very triggering type of case. Let's go on. Here's another person talking about Savannah Guthrie mother still missing. Conspiracy theories allege media psyop.
Savannah Guthrie's mother is still missing. It's still unknown who abducted her or why they abducted her. It's still unknown whether or not she is alive at this point. And Savannah Guthrie, understandably, of course, is still not back on the Today Show. And they've been consistently covering the story, which involves one of their top talent on the show on a daily basis, which is really a deviation from the normal tone of morning television.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because people who watch these shows, especially in the older generation, like they have a parasocial relationship with the hosts.
Mm-hmm.
And it really has this like family feeling to it. Like everyone is a part of the Today Show family. And it's this lighthearted break from the normal news cycle. And unfortunately, they've had to give daily updates.
Well, I mean, in our other video live that we did on this, we did show that Savannah did interview some of the Epstein victims, and her husband was he lawyer to George Bush or something? I mean, he's got connections. He's got connections to it too. So just the quinky dink, you decide.
On Savannah Guthrie's mother in the search that is still ongoing for her. And it turns out, since we last talked about this story, TMZ's report that they received a ransom note was proven untrue. They did receive a ransom note from someone who was pretending to be the abductor, but they found the person and arrested them because they were falsifying that. And still there is relatively nothing known about where Nancy Guthrie is or who held her captive or whether they have kept her alive. So this is getting weirder and weirder by the minute. The latest update is from a couple of days ago when Savannah Guthrie and her brother and sister sat down to record a video which in part was directed at the abductors. They were pleading with them to get in contact and make their demands clear. So we'll start this at 2 minutes and 15 seconds in. And by the way, I would like to clarify, since we mentioned it on Wednesday's show, obviously, since Savannah Guthrie's sister is sitting right next to her in this video, she is not a suspect in the abduction. That was just a rumor. She's here with her brother and sister, and neither of them are involved in the abduction to our knowledge.
All right, here we go.
We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us.
Okay. So still, they have no direct communication from the abductors. And now what I've noticed is people are hijacking this story for their own ends and making it into a conspiracy theory rabbit hole.
Yep.
And one reason is because of a particular moment in this video where Savannah Guthrie
You gotta love
appears
this
to
girl.
repeat.
She's one of the girls that's just really plugged into the matrix and is really on the mainframe. She's plugged into the believing whatever she's told, and these conspiracy theorists that are hijacking shit, maybe trying to like get some truth into stuff and just not believing whatever they're told. These pains in the asses. Let me show you
a line from the Silence of the Lambs movie.
We'll
play
face.
the comparison.
Look at her face. She's got this like side grin where like she's so smarmy and so much smarter than everybody else.
Comparison here.
She is full of kindness and knowledge.
Like a young Lauren turd.
Talk to her and you'll see.
Catherine is very gentle and kind. Talk to her and you'll see.
Yeah, that's a stretch.
It is. It is a stretch.
It's a stretch. It's a stretch. It's such a weird thing. I mean, it would be a stretch maybe if it was the only weird thing in the case. Maybe it would be a stretch. But there's just too many stretches. They just want us to stretch all over the place and just believe them. So these type of people I don't even give credence to anymore. I can't with these type of people. I just can't pay attention to them. And people are gonna be people. So over here on the ticky-tacky streets, they're talking about the strangeness. Oh, whoops, sorry. This is music. So as a true crime junkie, never in my life have I witnessed this much news coverage of a kidnapping, let alone an 84-year-old woman, than this case. I don't know what the end game here is, but I ain't buying it. So the people over here, they're just not buying it. Here on the lifeboat, Nancy Guthrie, Psyop, Epstein distraction, or family tragedy. Let's see what they have to say.
Deanna, good to have you here from Alabama. See, they get it. When you come in here, you say where you're from. Longview, Washington State. What's up? Hey, Kristen Melinda, thanks for all of your hard work. Carnival got Tommy. No, I don't even leave during Carnival. My wife is lovely. She is absolutely lovely. She's a lot of fun to watch too. I know a lot of you went over there. I watch her every time she's live, so I saw a lot of you talking. However, if I start talking in the chat, people start talking to me, it sort of takes away from what's going on. Renee B, good to see you. Watching 2 streams at once. You got to love that.
This is interesting. I've not seen where you can put the count after a stream is up. This must be something new that they have where you, instead of watching the stream of the chat, you can just read the comments. I like that. I like that a lot.
Hey, Washington, just Joan, good to have you here. Nikki Lowry from Melbourne, Australia. I love it. This is going to be a heck of a show, people. And this is what I am going to do. Hey, Roberta, Tennessee. Robin, I'm sorry. Chef, what's up? Making a vid. Thank you, Space G's. What a kind thing to say. Tommy's hard work and dedication does not go unnoticed. It's clear that he is.
Let's see where he's.
I'm going to prove to you that that's not the case. But first, let's go with. I'm going to prove to you that that's not the case. But first, I'm pretty fond of the woman. A lot of people seem to think that it is a distraction. I did see the message from Savannah. Many think we have some answers tomorrow by past patterns. We might. Parkersburg, West Virginia.
Okay, this was a month ago. I want to get us up further. It looks like he's let me look at him. Let's see what his channel is all about. The Lifeboat. Welcome to the Lifeboat. This channel looks at true crime in a unique way. I allow my audience to interact and discuss their theories on cases. We all are part of this show on the boat. Everyone has a voice. I feel like that's what we're all doing. After a life of crime and addiction, including bank robbery, I went to prison and did my time. My debt to society paid in full. I got out and now help people avoid the mistakes I made, particularly when it comes to rugs and crime. Subscribe now, turn on their alerts, and welcome aboard. Let's see what he has to say.
And thank you, Cindy. I love her too. I'm pretty fond of the woman.
I don't know. He's like fond of Nancy, which means does he know the family somehow?
A lot of people seem to think that it is a distraction. I did see the message from Savannah. Many think we have some answers tomorrow by past patterns. We might. Parkersburg, West Virginia, via the Reese Show. I love it, Mop Man. Good to see you over there. Selfish Sharon, what's happening? So here's the deal. And I commented. I said, "That's
I'm just
it's
fully gone full conspiracy after the Epstein files. I don't trust anything or anyone. Well, I mean, I trust my friends and stuff like that, but like, I just like Hollywood. Nope. Politics. Nope. The news, mainstream news. Nope. So, but you know, if you guys like, I understand people feel safe in believing that stuff. I felt safe. I mean, there's days that I wish I could take the red pill again, but once you take the blue pill, and I'm not talking politics, I'm talking the matrix, you just can't go back to the red pill. I've always been somebody who questioned. I mean, I'm the black sheep of the family, so, but it's gotten 10 times worse since the Epstein files.
an interesting take, but let's say that the whole purpose of this was to eliminate the masses talking about Epstein. I'm going to prove to you that that's not the case. But first, let's go with if this is a psyop. If this is a psyop, then this was engineered by the government. Yes, we can agree that psyops are engineered by governments. Originally, that term was never used before World War II. And psyops were designed to get the people in a country to be pissed at their government, right? If we could get all of the Germans to be very, very...
Okay, well, let's take this over to ChatGPT because I really don't know. We're going to have to do some fact checking here because I really don't know when Psyop was first used. It's trying to make me a, hold on. No, when was the term Psyop first used? I decided ever since ChatGPT sold out to the government, I no longer pay for it. So it's real wonky. But here, let me show you what it's saying. It says all these stupid things that I can't even stand. You'd think humans would keep neat records of this kind of thing. Instead, we get the usual bureaucratic fog. Still, the trail is clear enough. The term PSYOP is shorthand for psychological operations, and the U.S. military first formally used the abbreviation PSYOP in the early 1950s during early Cold War. The concept itself existed long before that, but the actual term PSYOP appears in official doctrine around 1952, 1953, when the U.S. Army began standardizing psychological warfare units and terminology. Before that, everyone called it psychological warfare, PSYWAR. So it's the same effing thing. So, okay, so especially during World War II, leaflet drops, propaganda, radio, fake troop movements, all the classic mind games. Didn't we get these mind games from Sigmund Freud's son or something like that? Didn't the government, which, was it Freud? Let me ask. Was it Sigmund Freud that his son gave the government the ways to use commercials for Psyop and propaganda, or was it another psychiatrist doctor? Which one? I know it was one of them. Close, but not quite. The story people repeat online gets the family tree wrong. It wasn't Sigmund Freud's son. It was his nephew. Okay, so it was his nephew, Edward Bernays. That's the guy you're thinking of. And yes, he absolutely helped government and corporations figure out how to steer public opinion using psychology. Bernays is basically the patron saint of modern propaganda, just with nicer marketing. He took the idea of his Uncle Freud about the unconscious mind, desire, and emotional triggers, then applied them to mass communication instead of therapy couches. He used newspapers, PR campaigns, and advertising, same psychological levers, bigger audience. A few of his great hits, since humanity apparently enjoys being manipulated. In the 1920s, he ran campaigns convincing women to smoke by branding cigarettes as torches of freedom. He helped normalize bacon and eggs as the all-American breakfast. He advised corporations and governments on how to shape public opinion without people realizing it. He even wrote a book literally called Propaganda in 1928, where he calmly explained that democracies are guided as an invisible government of people who understand mass psychology. This keeps shutting off. Mass psychology, subtle fellow. Governments later used the same principles for wartime messages and psychological operations during World War I. Bernays worked with the Committee on Public Information, which was the U.S. propaganda machine, convincing Americans to support the war. So the simplified version, Freud theory about the unconscious mind. Bernays, his nephew, weaponized these ideas for advertising, public relations, and political persuasions. That pipeline eventually fed into the kind of messaging strategy used in Psyop and modern media manipulation. Humans discovered that if you whisper to the subconscious instead of arguing with the conscious mind, people will happily buy things they don't need and believe things they never questioned. Civilization immediately ran with it. And then I also read recently, didn't Sigmund Freud create the sorry guys, I'm having a flare. It's going to take me a minute to get my mind for a second. Didn't Sigmund Freud create the Oedipus complex to satisfy a governmental, I forget what it was. I just read this recently. I'm sorry. I have it saved somewhere. I didn't expect to talk about this. And when I have a flare, I forget things. But wasn't there a governmental program? And he made up this theory to satisfy. I know he did. Oh. Okay, so it's saying brain short circuit when the body's flaring. This isn't some moral failure. It's biology being rude. So, yes, it is. So, now to the history. Sigmund Freud came up with the Oedipus complex around 1899, 1905, mainly in the works like The Interpretation of Dreams, but later essays on sexuality. The ideal was that young children unconsciously feel desire for the opposite sex parent. It had something to do with the mother. They wanted to do something with the mother. There's no solid historical evidence that Freud invented the Oedipus complex for governmental program. Where the confusion usually creeps in with his nephew. It was something. I'll have to look into it more. I just wasn't expecting it. But anyway, there was his nephew that created that with the government. And so Psyop was Psy-war before World War II. So just it was the same tactics, just a different word, basically.
Very unhappy with what's going on in Germany, right? That's what psyops were originally. Now they're kind of, they don't think of it that way. And a lot of it is because of people that are into conspiracy theories. And I'm not bummed out with people that are. A lot of conspiracy theories have come out to be true, right? Do me a favor, smack that like button. There's a lot of you in here, and it is keeping the algorithm going, and they hate pushing me, people. You guys really are making that happen. Johnny Scoble says, Ecuador in the house, and when you come in, tell us where you're coming from. Wag the dog, right? Very great example. That movie was fantastic. Do you say psyops on purpose? Yes, I say psyops on purpose. Psychological operations. If I'm mispronouncing that.
Okay, let's go forward and let's get into it. Because this is a live and I understand. So you're going to get a lot of banter and back and talk. So, but I will jump around, but keep in mind that I put everything, all the links down in the show notes.
And not have to pay for it. But it was Lawrence Harvey, not Charles Bronson. Is that true? Oh, no. I'm not talking about. Yeah, I thought that was a Charles Bronson movie, but I can't think of the name of it. Full circle psyop. Well, here's the deal. Check this out real quick, right? So let's deal with this for a second. This is what the media coverage looks like, right? February 1st, which was the day that she was abducted, through the 15th of February, right? Which is, I believe, today, right? Epstein, there's been 260 pieces of coverage, right? Either articles written or things on television. And for Nancy Guthrie, it's been 420. But for the people that say no one is discussing Epstein, 38% of the news coverage is on Epstein. And that carries over also into the media saturation. There is a missing grandmother. Everyone has a mom. Everyone has a grandmother. And this is painful for society. And they're looking at it. But it's not stopping people from talking about Epstein, right? There's still 38% of news coverage right now is talking about him. And it is going to increase as this story drags on. It is not.
Well, a lot of people think it's a psyop in that it's connected to the Epstein files. Like, it's not just distracting, but it's also connected through Savannah Guthrie and her husband. So, and this was a month ago. I know for a fact that let's go over. Let me ask ChatGPT. Oh wait, I got to open up a new one because I canceled ChatGPT. Now it only lets me ask like 3 questions at a time. Could you show me the percentage of news story about Savannah Guthrie compared to the Epstein files, compared to ICE raids, and compared to the war in Iran as of today? So it looks like here's the most recent snapshot you can get right now on how much each of these topics is actually showing up in the news lately. Not some, okay, so, but based on current headlines and major stories circulating today and in the last few days, you can see rough relative prominence. So latest major stories relevant to your list: war in Iran. This is currently dominating. Surprise, surprise. World War is dominating, and global headlines because of ongoing military action, polls, public reaction, and geopolitical and analysis. You're seeing multiple major pieces in this in top new outlets today. including analysis on Trump's actions and public opinion. That suggests this topic is something like 40 to 50% of headline coverage right now. The Epstein file still getting significant coverage, especially in relation to legal accountability. That's 25 to 30%. And it looks like Savannah Guthrie is getting 10 to 15%. And then the ICE raids are getting 5 to 10%, which tells me that maybe Savannah Guthrie wasn't enough to take away from this. So they had to do the biggest blast they could and throw in the war in Iran. So we got 45 war in Iran, Epstein file 30, Savannah Guthrie 15, and ICE raids 10%. Let's go over to Reddit and see what people are saying over there. So, Nancy Guthrie investigation put spotlight on growing acceptance of doorbell cameras. So, I know people were really starting to be against doorbell cameras because basically doorbell cameras can be tapped in by surveillance, like the police can survey the government. I mean, they're very anybody can tap into these doorbell cameras and it can become a police state that way. And so people are very unhappy with all of these doorbell cameras. Was it a way for people to be like, oh yes, not only should we have these doorbell cameras, but we should connect them to the network. We should connect them right to the cloud. So another way that they can surveillance us, police us. I don't know. I know that there were people worried about it. So I saw that. And then I saw that Nancy Guthrie, so they still haven't found her or even any hot leads. You think the upside to living in a surveillance state would be that they can at least easily find missing people, which is so strange that this old lady just disappears into the ethers of Nowhereville, Nowhere Land. This case exposed some weird surveillance state stuff. Google is capable of retrieving video from Nest cameras without a cloud subscription. If given a warrant, law enforcement have devices strapped to helicopters that can allegedly sniff out a Bluetooth signal emitted by a pacemaker. So is that why they were asking about the pacemaker? The crypto ransom stuff was weird too. I think detectives encouraged the family to make these video messages, but not because they thought the ransom threats were valid. I think investigators wanted to see how people of interest react to the videos, mainly because I don't think law enforcement could negotiate with criminals by using a victim's family like that. It was too personal. Great comment. I thought similarly that they are really showing some cards trying to solve this. What else did you observe? Do you recall the man who was arrested for seemingly no reason? He lived with his mother and the news interviewed him. Yeah, I was working from home that week and watched it literally unfold like on YouTube. Crazy seeing him get dropped off and cleared after the press pack were mobbing the house thinking it was a break in the case. He seemed genuine to me, like he had just as many questions as the journalists at the front door. Your thoughts? I think some sort of AI analysis that picked up on his bone structure or gait being similar, Walmart, McDonald's, Lowe's, Act, etc., are all tracking and recording this data, which they are. He seemed so confident and genuine. It must have been something very bizarre that led to his detainment. It was probably the number plate being flagged by a system like that because the door cam footage was released a week later. He was driving his wife's car when taken into custody, but he was a delivery driver who might have been deemed suspicious for working in a different town to his address and probably profiled to being Mexican. The investigators claim they have a motive now, which sounds like they're building the legal case to arrest and successfully convict someone of interest. I swear, if they say it's the cartel or it's something in Mexico, this is like a border state, or she lived in a border town, didn't she? Wasn't it pretty close to the border? Like only 2 hours. We need we need the ICE people to protect us old ladies, right? Get them over here. Bring them in. And put the door cams up too. Connect them to the cloud. Let them see everything. Just save us. It's not saving us. I hope you hear that this is sarcasm. I work in law, and I've seen what companies like Meta can provide if they are subpoenaed. Facebook has hundreds of pages of data on one person's account. Hundreds. It's crazy stuff, but not very surprising at all, since these companies do it. They do mine data. They sell our data. I mean, I know Facebook had to pay. I got a little payment from Facebook probably like a year ago, 6 months ago, because they mined my data. It wasn't very much money. It was like $30. It was a lot of money. Remember when they got that class action settlement? It was like $30 or $40 because so many people got in on it. But she led an amazing life. What else can you say? She was an amazing woman. All right. Yeah, I'm sure she was an amazing woman. The technology available in some area is truly impressive. Scary between camera networks and LPRs in areas with a lot of this stuff. An entire map of where a car under investigation traveled can be had. And I know they're doing stuff to the cars now where they're even trying to make it like if you lease a car or you are making payments to a car, if you're like late on your payment, they can send you warnings in your car, and then they can start disabling things in your car. Like they'll shut off like the interior lights and stuff that just like make your car a little more comfy cozy. And then they can just disable your car. And they're trying to, this is true, this is all true that they're doing. And they're trying to make it so that it can drive itself back to the dealership. They just can't figure out how to get around the garage situation. So the technology available in some areas is truly impressive. My hunch on this case is that it's someone in her circle of care. She was an elderly woman living alone and almost surely had tons of help. I do wonder, like, okay, so she did have that's right, she had nurses, and she probably had cleaning people and physical therapy people. She probably had didn't she have a pool? People dropped off food, tending to handiwork around the house. So she probably had a lot of people in and out. So I think it was somehow connect, like, because I do think the woman was taken. So somehow it would make sense that it would be someone who has interacted with her if it's not her family. I still haven't like left that out either. Even though I know the family doesn't want us to talk about it. Like, don't talk about the case. Let's make it pick and choose and decide what you can talk about. Don't like that either. The doorbell cameras are helpful for deliveries and are a good thing to have, but everyone should really have some basic cameras around their house, especially down the street, flanking driveway, and someone who is older house. In my humble opinion, I'd install indoor cameras too. They aren't that obtrusive. I mean, some people do it because they're on social media now, or like, especially the people that have animals. Like, I've been thinking about putting a camera on Junie just for funsies. So, the house also looks set back on the property a bit, if I remember correctly. I think, yeah, it was. So it was. That's how it's done in Mexico and Brazil for every VIP sequestro. It's always someone that works in the inside staff and who often has for a while someone with a chip on their shoulder, or someone resentful that festered over the years, or someone that can be bought by the government. Just saying, someone who can be bought. Back when I lived in South America for a bit, I mean, look at the person. Look at the person they chose to get to shoot, to pew pew to unalive Charlie Kirk. I mean, if you believe that situation, I don't know what to tell you. But look who they got to do that. The biggest yahoo they probably could find, right? Or one of, like the one that they could make the most fun of, because I know he was like dating a furry. And anyway, I think it's just my opinion, allegedly, but it's just all like, I'm not buying it. Back when I lived in South America for a bit, there was a case of this little 9-year-old Asian boy. Cutest thing, had bodyguards and shit. He was taken in some very insane way. Lots of people died. Dad paid the ransom and the poor kid was dead. They buried his head inside a hole, in a shack in one of the families. Is that Fave? I don't know what that is. Favelas in Rio. It was news for months. People were screaming for the heads of the police. Bodyguards were police. Come to find out, they hired a new chief of security who planned it, and the guy started to sleep with the boy's nanny, and she just blabbed all the routines and made sure everything went smoothly on the inside. The lady was hated for decades. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I can definitely get with that scenario and seeing that. Somebody hates Savannah and her family somehow. I don't know. What do you guys think? I thought we'd go over into TikTok and just see what people are saying about this. I typed in Nancy Guthrie Psyop, and we'll just see what people are saying. Oops. Hold on, I got to get the sound going.
Psychiatrist with 40 years of experience. This is my book, Footprints of Schizophrenia.
Okay, so this says a psychiatrist with 40 years of experience explains why law enforcement can't solve the Nancy Guthrie case.
The evolutionary roots of mental illness. This is what the cover looks like. Nice orange cover. My new book, Predator Factor, How Humanity is Decoupling from Evolution. In fact, it already has decoupled from evolution. Looking for an agent for that. My website is stephenleskmd.com.
You think it's like a fan of Nancy or Savannah? Because I know Nancy and Savannah did a lot of stuff together.
And the book can be found on Amazon. Now, why can't the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Office solve the Nancy Guthrie case already? It's been more than 40 days. She's gone. She's missing. Kaput. Why is it so difficult for them? Well, first of all, you have to have the right theory. If you're working with the wrong theory, all your resources are going to be put in the wrong place, and you're not going to be thinking about what's really going on. You're going to be thinking something else. And let's say the true answer is somewhat convoluted and not obvious. You may be stuck in the wrong theory and devoting all this time and effort in the wrong place. You're putting your resources in the wrong place. Now, obviously, everyone is saying, oh, it's a kidnapping. It must be a kidnapping. How come every single expert that you see on YouTube and on the news, kidnapping experts, say, this ain't no kidnapping? And they list all the reasons. Kidnappers want no publicity. These people went out of their way to get publicity. Kidnappers talk directly to the family and tell them, don't call the police. You give us, $2 million by tomorrow or your relative's dead. And then when they get it, they release the relative. They don't want to draw attention to themselves. They just want to get it done quickly and over with. And the ransom is directly negotiated with the family. None of that happened. None of it. This guy whose video they showed was clearly putting on an act. It was a show. It was pure theater. Well, if it's not a kidnapping, well, what else is it? So the other theories I've heard were like burglary gone wrong. Well, what the heck does that mean? You go to rob someone's house and you don't like anything to take in there, so you take the person in the house? Someone said, well, they recognize you. This guy had a ski mask on. Nobody has recognized him yet, to the tune of $1 million, $1.2 million.
Well, to me, it makes no sense, because why would you kidnap was she 83, 84? I don't remember how old she is, but she's in her 80s, and who needs medication? And she obviously was hurt and bleeding.
Reward for doing so. So burglary going wrong makes no sense. A vengeance killing. Well, if you really have some deep-seated vengeance toward Nancy or Savannah or somebody, which nobody has come up with, you kill them. You don't beat them up and drag them out. You just kill them. So none of this really is making sense. And the problem is that it's a convoluted issue. What is Johatsu? It happens in Japan. 100,000 people a year disappear in Japan. And there are people, facilitators, who charge $3,000 or more to help them. It's practically an institution in Japan. Some people decide...
Okay, this is a little terrifying what he's insinuating, because what I'm picking up, what this old dude is laying down, is that they're like culling up our old ladies. Like, this officer is telling us, basically guard your old ladies. And this guy's saying that in Japan, they did a little culling of 100. Did he say they were old people?
To disappear. But there's a difference in this case. This is a disappearance masquerading as a kidnapping. Why? Well, I've mentioned this before. If you're kidnapped and no one can find you...
Okay, I just have to do a side note. I cannot stand his fingernails. I wish I had not looked at them.
They assume you're dead. They stop looking. And you may want people to stop looking, not spend the rest of their lives looking for you. Two, all of this publicity garners tremendous ratings for Savannah when she does go back to Today. I'm not saying she had anything to do with it, but she's going back to the Today Show. She's already visited there.
Is she going back? Because I had thought we had heard... Look at that nail. I had heard that she wasn't going back ever.
Massive ratings. Three, a huge book deal. Savannah has published books already. This is going to give her millions in advance on a book deal. So for all these reasons, the disappearance wasn't just a disappearance. It became a kidnapping so that she would be declared dead, and that's it. People will stop looking for her. For whatever reason, Nancy Guthrie decided she was going to disappear.
Okay. So he's saying it more like a disappearance, like she decided she was going to just disappear from public life, not disappear from the world, like not exit life, just disappear. And they turned the disappearance into a schmurder because she ain't coming. She decided she don't want to come back. Like, all right, guy. I mean, I think that's a little too far. All right. Like, I'm putting my woo brakes on. Whoa there, sir. I don't know if I can go that deep down the rabbit hole. but the world's crazy. Maybe. Let's see what else people are saying. This guy cracks me up.
Okay, I know I said I was done with talking about Nancy Ramsey, but I just have one more good rant left in me, and that's people that keep coming into my comments and saying that this is about the Epstein files. It is the stupidest thing I've heard. Okay, this has nothing to do with the Epstein files, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, because
have you noticed that everybody that is telling us it has nothing to do with a Psyop or the Epstein files, they always say it has nothing to do with it. I'm going to tell you why. Okay, tell us why.
Does not have Nancy Guthrie in a bunker. And if he was going to snatch up somebody's grandma, he would take like the Kardashian grandma. He would take MJ. He would take Kris Jenner's mother. He wouldn't take Savannah Guthrie's mother.
No, because you're not keeping into mind that Savannah interviewed the people on some Epstein victims, and Kris Jenner did not do anything of the sort and would not. Isn't it something like the devil works hard, but Kris Jenner works harder, and she thinks that's hilarious?
Nobody even heard her from Tucson, Arizona. Okay, that's the reality. And you know why this isn't about the Epstein files and a deflection to keep us from talking about the Epstein files? Because I can't stop fucking hearing about the Epstein files. That's all anybody talks about. That's all over TikTok.
See, the Nancy Guthrie didn't work, so now they've started World War III. So when did you do this? On 3/1? So you don't even have anything to worry about. We've got a bigger distraction because we just saw that now we've got the World War III up at the top of the list, then the Epstein files, then Nancy Guthrie, then the ICE raids. So you're good, sir.
All over, and you keep commenting it in my comments. So clearly, if it was a deflection, it's not working. If it's a failed psyop, okay? But I'm going to tell you why you're not hearing about it more than what you want to, or why people aren't interested in it. Because the reality is the Epstein files are dark. They're unsettling. It is really, I know, because I tried to go into them.
I think the reality is that you haven't gone into the Epstein files and haven't looked into the Guthrie family and the Epstein files. I think that's the reality. And because here he's saying they're so dark that he can't even go into them.
It's like, I could not stomach it. Okay. And that's the reality is most people,
I think the reality is that he hasn't gone into it. And I think the reality is that a lot of people aren't willing to go a little bit deeper to figure things out. Just like the dolphin thing, Gerald the dolphin that we did on, I think Shannon and we did it on Saturday. And there's this dolphin that is all over the tiki-taki streets, and reportedly he kidnapped this guy, Gerald the dolphin, kidnapped this guy and took him down into the ocean and made him make some condos for them here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. A kidnapping by Gerald the dolphin. Today's Florida man case takes us underwater to a forced labor camp. Deputies found a man soaking wet along the Sanibel Causeway, furiously drawing blueprints in the sand. He claims he was kidnapped by a pod of dolphins while swimming off of Fort Myers Beach. According to him, they escorted him 40 feet below the surface to an underwater construction site. When asked, well, how did he breathe? He said, Gerald handled that. And you don't question Gerald. I don't know, guys, with the way the world is. So this is all over TikTok. They even have people like that are blacked out saying that this happened to them too. And I took us all through the story, and then I brought us over to Snopes. And the police officer that reportedly reported this didn't exist. There was no such report. that could be found. Here. Oh, and also there's a Saturday Night Live skit about Gerald the dolphin. And in the Snopes report, this was a made up, this whole Gerald thing was made up by a news source called the Dude. So yeah, it was all made up. It's all made up. But people are running with it. And I just think that you need to do your due diligence, because not everything is a true conspiracy, right? But there are weird things in this, and that you're not allowed to legally interact with dolphins in the wild, but you can interact with them in aquariums. And I have seen videos of workers that have worked in aquariums with dolphins that have said that, there's a lot of strange things that goes on with working with dolphins. But so I just really think that if you're going to talk on things, that you need to show both sides and also do your due diligence and research. But anyway, Nancy has to be gone with no contact for 7 years. Some places it can be pushed to 5 years. So that's how long she has to be missing before they can report her dead. Is that what you're saying? She's going back. Someone got fired. Oh, okay. Because last I had heard that Savannah wasn't even going back. So now she's going back. So I think that's all I have for today. That's our update on Nancy Guthrie. She's still missing. She's still missing. And I think it's a big old fake operation. What do you guys think? Let me know what you think. Be sure to put your answer down in the comments. Do you think that this is just a situation where an older woman was kidnapped? Do you think it's a psyop to divert our attention from the Epstein files? Do you think it has something to do with the Epstein files? And why are we hearing so much about an older woman being kidnapped? I think it's because it is an older woman. We do get kidnappings, but we did look up and it's not older women. It's not older people. It's usually younger people. So, and she is the mother of a famous news reporter who interviewed people on the Epstein files. I don't know how you can connect it, but if you don't, you don't. I could be crazy too. I am fully open to that situation too. So, but I don't think I am. I know I'm a little crazy, but I'm safe crazy, and I do have a degree, a background in psych soc, so I do pull from that quite a bit. And yeah, so tell me what you think, because I really want to know. And also tell me what you want me to cover next. I was thinking about going back into the Epstein files and looking at the children's cases in the Epstein file, because I know there's John Benet Ramsey, there's the Madeleine McCann's, I think Johnny Gosh is one that deserves to be looked at too. I really want to look at the Oakland County child killers, because that happened during my time. In fact, I had a situation, I think it was in the 3rd grade. Somebody tried to kidnap me and my friend walking to school, and we had a police escort the rest of the week. Well, it was supposed to be the rest of the week, but I think they were only there for 2 days, but I know like in Michigan, they had a very similar island that is like Epstein's PDF island. So I kind of want to go in that direction and look at that too, because it's kind of like I'm from Michigan. I'm in Florida, but I'm from Michigan. And there was a few other missing children's cases that have been possibly linked back to the Epstein files. And then I thought maybe we could even look at missing adult cases too that could possibly be linked back. But let me know what you want, and I will do it. So, Kim, thank you so much for coming and moderating with me. I got to go live, start going live every single day to let the algorithm know that, hey, we're going live again. Because I think the algorithm forgot about us. So if you could share this out for me, that would help me out tremendously. But yeah, be sure to give this a thumbs up. Become a Dragonfly. That's our membership program that we have over on YouTube. I'm in Facebook jail, so maybe that has something to do with why nobody's finding us today. Probably is. Anyway, I'm still going to say it was worth it. Got to use this voice, you guys. We've got to speak up and not let the government take us over, allegedly, for entertainment purposes only, in my opinion. So, okay, guys, if nobody's told you this today, and even if they have, I don't care. I don't care anymore. I'm still going to tell you guys this. I love and appreciate you guys so, so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Miss my cue, but I had you for that day. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you.
Be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Helps me go out into the algorithm party out there. Bring more people back to the party. It's just a free way to help me out.
With you tonight, and it feels fine. Feels fine. Baby, I'm dancing with you tonight. Here in the blue, I'm dancing and falling out, hoping for some time with you.